So you're
Enjoying
not
that one a lot.
you're not just a CPA, you're also a developer.
Uh, I have a little techie in me. I wouldn't say developer, but definitely with some learning curves.
Hello, Blake Oliver here, and this is Gearing Up, a series by Relay. Relay is business banking designed for accountants and their clients. Just like me, they're obsessed with making firms more effective and efficient. So in each episode, I talk to real accountants and bookkeepers about one challenge they faced in their firm and how to solve it.
Today we have Safie Russell of SDR Consulting Inc. on the show. Thanks so much for joining me, Safie.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me, Blake. It's definitely a privilege to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your firm?
Sure, sure. So, Safie is my nickname. Safietou D is my full name, and I'm the founder and CEO of SDR Consulting Inc. I've been in the industry about 19 years, and I'm a CPA and enrolls agent, and also have my master's in taxation. And here at SDR Consulting, we mostly work with small business owners, helping them from business formation all the way through to tax preparation and all that fun stuff in between.
Where are you located?
I'm located in New York.
Gotcha.
hmm Yes.
So what kind of tech stack do you use in your firm?
Well, the list is extensive, but I'll name some of the top ones for sure. In terms of intake forms and my process, I use Cognito Forms. It's pretty much allowed me to custom build forms and ask information upfront and collect documents securely to streamline the process. As a virtual firm, I found that very important. Also, QuickBooks Online in terms of bookkeeping, we pretty much use that almost exclusively. And for banking, Relay Financial is something new that we have dived into and exploring how it works well with QuickBooks Online and being in a virtual environment with banking. And then lastly, having an all-in-one portal. I've been able to kind of cut my tech stack down a little bit because I have a portal that I was able to pretty much custom build and handle a lot of my workflow.
So what are you using for that portal? You said it's custom?
Yes, it's a white label product and custom built by me for now.
Oh.
And so yes,
So you're
enjoying that
not
one a lot.
you're not just a CPA, you're also a developer.
Uh, I have a little techie in me. I wouldn't say developer, but definitely with some learning curves, and I had help from other, colleagues in the field. But it was important for me because it was custom. So a lot of the ready-made portals out there, they just didn't do everything I needed, or they were really like tax specific only. Whereas we offer so many services for business owners that I needed something more well-rounded.
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of this show, it's about one challenge that you have faced in your firm. And I know that's probably a challenge to even narrow it down to just one, but I'd love to hear about a challenge that you had recently.
Sure. So over time, once I started developing the practice, I noticed that, let's say taxes, for example, you get basic information from a client and then you have to keep going back and forth for more information or missing documents, or you didn't send this, or you did send this. So that's why I developed the intake forms through Cognito. So now every service we have is attached to an intake. So whether it be tax prep, bookkeeping, payroll setup, general business consulting, setting up your entity, I all the questions that I found myself asking, I put them in a form. And so Cognito Forms is what I use for that. It has encryption and security behind it, which is really important. And it allows me to ask all the questions on the front end, get all the documents, and then this way there may be some, back and forth, of course, but it minimizes the time spent on that, which is not efficient at all. And so for me, that was the biggest challenge I had that I used that, main tech stack to solve, and I continue to build on it. I must be up to like 30 forms by now.
Wow.
So that was really important. And even year to year, information changes. So even if I have clients that I prepare taxes for last year, they fill out a new organizer every year, and the questions are a little less because, there's a question saying, "Did we prepare your return last year?" Okay, so I don't need your full address again unless it changed, I don't need your dependents information unless it changed. However, things change, and so they fill our questionnaire out every year.
So what were you doing before you put in Cognito?
Yeah, so I would have different organizers like through, my website or AICPA, and they would be more in a PDF format. I've tried that. I've also tried, I don't really have any non-virtual clients. So, but I had one or two. So I had like a paper organizer. And then there was organizers that came with the tax programs. So I've used that in the past. So it was kind of a little bit of everything, but
Mhm.
nothing really, solved the issue.
Got it. So you would send out a PDF or you'd collect this information via email, and then, I mean, anyone who's done this knows that getting that all back into your systems is really challenging.
Yeah, a lot of data entry. And then, I had to get away from email, which thankfully I wasn't really using as much. I was using different things like
The
Dropboxes and other.
portal.
Yes, the portal I didn't have yet, but I was using Dropbox previously, which I still use internally, but not everyone had Dropbox and then they couldn't get access. And so then I had another program for file transmission only that was simple, which I still have. But, even though we're a virtual firm, because we're a virtual firm, there's some technology involved. So um, there are certain clients who just may have challenges with that. So I needed to really simplify it. So yes, the portal definitely made it easier to streamline and not have this program for that and this program for that.
So, for those who aren't familiar with online forms or anything like that, can you describe for me what it's like for me as a client when you need to re-engage me or onboard me or whatever example you'd like to use? Like how would it work for me? Let's say I'm a new SDR consulting client.
Perfect. So all of my clients generally start out with my free intro call. So we have a 15-minute call just to talk a little bit about, your issues, what's your concern, what kind of services you may need. And from that, I will invite you to the client portal and let you know which intake forms would apply. So if, let's say, tax season is coming up and you need your taxes done, then I'm going to direct you to the organizer for taxes, one for personal, one for business, if you're in business. And you're going to upload your prior returns and all your current year documents and answer all the questions. From
A-
that, I then,
And I
go
can
ahead.
do that in Cognito. I can upload files and
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
got it.
Yeah.
And
So, like, okay, I have W-2s. I have 3 W-2s. Upload them right here. Like, really straightforward.
and does that where does that go? Do the files go into your portal or do they go somewhere like do you have to organize them later? How does it work?
Yeah, some integration would be great, but right now
Yeah.
I have it set up with a Zapier, a Zap, I guess you can call it, where the documents go from Cognito into Dropbox, and so Dropbox is my internal file storage, and from there they're organized, into one file, my tax work paper file, but prior to that, I send a quote. So once I get the intake
Mhm.
form, then a quote is sent out through the portal. If it's accepted, an invoice generates, payment is made up front. Then we set up the project and we start communicating.
And you send them whatever forms they need to provide for that project, whatever it is. Like you said, I think you said you had 30 forms. Can you give us some examples again of like what would be a unique form that you've made?
So generally, for example, with due diligence for claiming child tax credit and things of
Mm.
that nature. So I have an intake form for that. So once I see that they qualify for that or the tuition credit, then they get that link to fill out that form and upload the documents for the due diligence.
That's great because I could see how the forms for, say, just general tax preparation could get enormous.
Right,
And then that's not a good customer experience because
right,
then they're having to go through and answer 200 questions.
right.
You've broken it up. So
Yes.
if they qualify or you think they qualify for this deduction,
Mhm.
then you send that form.
Correct. And if they have like a foreign bank account, there's a basic question on an organizer, but if they answer yes, okay, now here's the intake form for that. How much was it? What country, et cetera.
So what if they have a question when they're filling out the form? How do you deal with that?
In most cases, when they're filling out the form, they are in my portal, so they can send a message right through the portal, or set up a call,
Oh,
with me.
so the forms are embedded into the portal.
Yes.
How do you achieve that? Is that something that was like built into Cognito or the portal or
Yeah, interestingly enough, I'm in the process of reformatting some of that. So yes, it can be embedded in my portal, but currently, because my tax organizer, for example, has so many questions, it's a little longer than the page. So right now, I just have it where the link is in the tab.
Mhm.
So I have tabs for different intakes, and then the link for Cognito is there, and it just opens in a separate window.
Got it. And they have a question, they just go back to the portal, they chat
Get the
with you in the
message.
portal, and it's all
Exactly.
secure.
And you can
That's great.
save it along the way. So they can answer as
Yeah.
much as they can, save the link for where they left off, and then send me the message.
Wow, that is really great. I mean, you've basically solved the problem of using email for
Yes.
all of these client questions and onboarding. And
Mhm.
I'm sure you're saving yourself a ton of time having to ask the same questions over and over again.
Absolutely. Every time I think of a new question or I ask a new question, I'm like, put a little note. Is that in my form, my current forms, And then if not, do I need a new form? And I don't inundate clients. I mean, honestly, unless someone needs multiple different, types of services, they're probably only filling out one or two forms a year. But all those different forms are just different services that have come about over time.
So I know this may be difficult to quantify, but what's the impact for you if you had to look back and think how I did it before versus how I'm doing it now? How much time is it you saved? Is it more the just peace of mind or the security? Like, what's been the big change for you?
Wow. Definitely, I know it saved me time. The um, the biggest impact I would say is just it helps me with my organization. In this industry, when the data, the deadlines are so compressed, and you're working overtime and you're not getting a lot of sleep, it helped me have everything in place where I could revert back to it. So, for example, client ABC, what are we doing for them again? Oh, I just go back to the intake form. I go back to my intro call notes. I go back to the quote and puts me right back at where we need to be.
Wow. Well, Safi, I learned a lot today. I learned about a new app that I didn't know about, and I think
Great.
your process is just fantastic. I hope our listeners and anyone watching this video can take something away from that. I'm sure they will.
Thank you.
Um, if well, do you have anything you'd like to share with our viewers, or where can people contact you? What are you up to?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, being that we work with a lot of small business owners, if it's something new for them in terms of the tax and accounting space, they just don't know where to start. So I'm working on creating more courses, but one of the free ones that we have right now is called Common Business Deductions. Many business owners don't know what they can deduct and how to deduct it. So that's a free course available right now, and you can click the link for more details on that. Also, we have a monthly newsletter that goes out, which may have some helpful tax and accounting tips in there. And you can sign up for the newsletter by going to our website, www.sdrconsultinginc.com. And lastly, we always have 15-minute intro calls available for potential new clients just to see if it's a good fit and get some basic information about each other. And you can call to schedule that, or you can also go to the site. And the best number is 516 6603.
Safi, thanks so much for your time and for joining me today.
Thanks for having me again, Blake, and it's been a pleasure.